Hello and welcome to another tutorial. This is Rick with Simple Tech 888. Before we begin, I'd like to apologize to all my subscribers. I haven't been posting videos lately. Been busy with other projects, but today's tutorial or video, I'm going to show you the difference between HP model G3 through the G8. These devices are being distributed by school districts, so if you're a student or if your child is using one of these devices, it's good to know what model it is. Before we begin, if you think it's helpful, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the notification, and if you like it, give it a thumbs up. Let's go ahead and take a look at the G3 model first. Now the G3 model, the case is pretty dark black. You can't really notice anything. If you lift up the lid, you can see that the keyboard is actually white or light gray. That's how you tell if it's a G3 model. Moving on to the G4 and G5. The G4 and G5 are pretty much identical. Just from looking at the case, you can't tell the difference. It does have this rubber guard around the whole device for the G4 and G5. So if you look at both of them, they both have this dark rubber protection or guard around it. Now you can't tell the difference, but I'll show you how you can by just flipping it over. I'm not going to go through the specification of what the price is or what kind of processor it has. You can look that online based on the serial number or the model, but let's go ahead and flip it over and I'll show you. Now when you flip it over, where the screws are hidden, there's these little rubber covering. If you pop those rubber piece out, you can see the screw. Now for the G4, how you can tell if it's G4 is on the top corner on both sides. You can see a rubber piece that is not circular. It's kind of vertical rubber covering for the screw. So that one is a G4. For the G5, the rubber covering for the screw is actually circular. It's not a vertical piece. So that's how you tell the difference between the G4 and the G5s. Let's move over to the G6. The G6, they completely got rid of that rubber guard around the case. As you can see, it's pretty smooth. There's no rubber guard around the device. It's pretty smooth and it's a little bit lighter. Well, no, I would say it's still a dark gray, but there's no rubber guard around the device. Now let's take a look at the G7. See, it's actually a smoother gray than the G4 and G5. Now the G7, they roll back the rubber guard around the device, but this time it's not a dark gray rubber guard. It's more of a light gray. As you can see right here, if you look carefully between the G6 and the G7, see that grayish rubber guard around the device? That's the G7. So they roll back and put that back on that model for the G7. Now next come well, if you flip it around, you can't tell the difference. It's pretty much in the back is the same, except you can see the lightish gray rubber piece around the device, the case. Moving over to the G8. The G8 is a little bit different. It still has that rubber, but the design is a little bit different. However, the G8, different from the G6 and the G7, is that the surface is not smooth. If you rub your finger or your nail on top of the surface, it's a little bit rough or rigid. So you can feel it once you rub it on top. So it's not as smooth as the G6 and the G7 casing. So that is the G8. Now I think they're going to come out with a G9 version. But once they have that, I can go ahead and make another video if you like, to show you the difference between the G8 and the G9. Now on the back of all the device, you'll find a serial number. It's hard to see, but if you use your camera, you can focus on it, and then you can Google online to see the specification and what model it is. That wraps it up for today's video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on our next tutorial.